I think many of us view studying as this evil thing, like it's the worst thing in the world. And this kind of mindset permeates student culture. Then you have those people who love to brag about how much they study. You know, the ones who go to the library, set up their study space with their colored pens, their highlighters, their big coffee, their big water bottle, their iPad, and then they Snapchat that or Instagram it, and then they scroll through social media for an hour, and then they get up and leave. Let's go over 3 reasons maybe why you can't sit down to focus on studying. Maybe this will help you next time when you go and study for your exams. And please take 1.6 seconds to click that red shiny button right down there and hit the subscribe button. So the first one is your environment. And no, I'm not talking about climate change, but for real, is anyone else freaked out about that? I think we should be worried. What I'm talking about is what's around you when you start to study. Do you study in a place where you can easily focus and are motivated to study? Do you study around people who distract you? The first thing you gotta get a hold of is your study space. And I know for many of us, going to the library is hard, especially when studying with a mask it can be very difficult. So maybe you're studying at home. Do you have a nice desk or table to study at home? And how well do you actually study in your room? And please don't convince yourself that you study better in bed. A bed is made for sleeping, and your brain associates the bed with sleeping. So chances are, if you're in bed and you're studying, your brain's not really in the study mood when you're just chilling in your bed. Minimize anything distracting in your environment. Find a quiet place. If you can't get anywhere quiet, buy some noise canceling headphones or just blast some music in your ear that's not too distracting. Make sure you don't have your phone near you, right? This is a given. I always harp on this, but you'd be surprised how people can't put their phone away for a couple hours. And also, this is also obvious, but don't have the TV on in the background. I get it, background noise is cool, but if you put on something distracting like on TV, it's gonna distract you. And if you're someone who likes to check the fridge often, then don't study near the kitchen. And this makes it way easier to focus. And don't get me wrong, you can still switch up your study spaces as you see fit. The second one is maybe that the task that you're doing is really easy to lose focus on. Like maybe simply reading a textbook or rereading your notes that you've seen a bunch of times. It gets to be really repetitive and it becomes passive learning. The best way is to do learning strategies that are much more engaging and active for the brain, like writing questions of what you read and then answering them, doing practice questions and kind of simulating the test environment, or explaining concepts to yourself out loud or to a friend. Sometimes it's easy to get bored when you are learning something difficult and you tend to zone out, and sometimes you don't even understand what you just read. Comment below if you've been there. If you're doing something difficult and you can't focus, my tip to you is to just write constant notes and simplify everything that you read. Break down the difficult parts into more simpler parts. And sometimes when you feel too overwhelmed, you start to lose focus. So take breaks often and reframe studying as some sort of game, because instead of just saying it's studying, it's more of a game, and this makes it way more fun and it makes it much more enjoyable. The third and last is sometimes we might have some negative emotions that just cloud our mind. It's kind of like running a marathon with a weighted vest and ankle weights. You remember that scene from Naruto when Rock Lee drops those crazy weights and everyone goes like crazy? Maybe your motivation and focus is affected because you're in a toxic relationship, you are worried for someone's health, you're overwhelmed by your anxieties, or maybe you're just thinking that you made the wrong choice in life. And we don't really realize that these emotions actually impact our studies. It's best not to ignore them because they're gonna cause further distractions down the line. The best thing to do is to accept those feelings and let them pass. As you practice this, as you hone this skill, it's easier to stay on task as you feel these emotions, because now you train yourself to understand them, accept them, and just kind of let them go. And as you externalize and accept these feelings, your ability to persist with your studying really improves. And don't get me wrong, when you start to deal with these negative emotions, it might mean that you don't get as much done in the beginning because you're dealing with all this. The more you learn to accept what's bothering you, the easier it gets and the less likely you are to blame studying for how you feel. And those are some interesting ways to think about why you can't study. What do you all think? Fact or cap? Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up, and if you like that, consider checking out my channel because there's a bunch more study advice on there. And if you want to be a part of the squad, make sure you subscribe to my newsletter because I give out weekly free advice and resources for students. Thank you so much, and bye. Have a wonderful time.